Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to be talking about Andrew Yang and chess lessons from Scott Garibay to Andrew Yang's team on how to run his campaign. And specifically, these are lessons from chess that I have learned that I'm going to place here for Andrew Yang's team as wisdom and knowledge ready for them to use to win the Democrat 2020 U.S. presidential primary and the general election. All right, so this is really important, right? So I play a ton of chess. So I play over the board. That means playing in real life, playing human opponents. And I play Lee chess competitively. Lee chess is the very best chess application that you can get on a smartphone. My ranking on Lee chess is usually about 950, right? And so, and I absolutely love chess. I've played about well over 1,000 games on Lee chess, and I've learned a lot about chess and a lot about myself and a lot about chess players and a lot about life. And I have learned this lesson that I want to leave here for Andrew Yang's team that I think should be followed in the 2020 U.S. presidential primary race and in the general election. And that is absolutely never, ever, ever resign. Okay? So in chess, when you're playing chess, what happens is when you play chess, Lee chess, which is online chess, you're playing against human opponents, okay? You're always playing against a human opponent. In the leagues I play in, we always play against a human opponent. And so I essentially fire up this app on my phone, and then I push a button and I'm paired in a blitz game. That means I have 5 minutes and my opponent has 5 minutes. And when I play Lee chess, blitz chess on Lee chess, I'm paired up with a human opponent. That human opponent is usually from America, from Russia, from Israel, from Great Britain, and that's pretty much it. That's where I see most of my opponents from. There are a few from other nations, but that's where the majority of my opponents are paired. I don't know if that's because of my ranking or whatever, but that's usually where my opponents are from, right? And so I played a ton of Lee chess, and one of the things that happens in Lee chess is one, there's a ton of really smart opponents in there, and so I get beat pretty frequently, like probably close to 50% of the time, right? And when you get beat, so basically, now when I play Lee chess, I have to be beaten. The person has to checkmate me or has to get me down all the way to where I lose the game because I ran out of time, or and so those are the two ways that you can go out, right? Now, what I see very frequently when I play Lee chess is I will play an opponent, and then when I take their queen without retribution, without retribution means I take their piece, they don't take mine, right? That's devastating in chess. If that happens, just so you're aware, the way I play chess, if I get one principal piece, if I get a rook, a pawn, a knight, a bishop, right, and without retribution, I can almost always win the game from there, because what I do is I just trade pieces until I have one or two pieces left, and the opponent, I can even just have one piece left, and the opponent has pawns and a king, and I can defeat them almost all the time, about 95% of the time, easily, right? So basically, when you get a queen, that's 9 points in Lee chess, right? So what happens when I usually get an opponent's queen without retribution, that person will immediately resign. So they might have 3 minutes left on the clock, and they might have every single principal piece left. But if I've taken their queen, the odds are I'm going to beat them, right? But almost all the players will immediately resign. They'll resign the game. They'll quit, right? Now, when I play Lee chess, I absolutely never resign a single game ever, right? And the reason why is you are going to have to beat me. Now, the reason why I do this is there's a really good reason not to do this. And the reason why is you can often win the game, okay? Because one, there's a few things that will allow you to win the game in Lee chess. And this is directly applicable to the political environment, in my opinion. I'll explain why. So the first thing that happens is this puts opponents on tilt, right? It makes opponents angry. So if you keep playing after you have been decimated and you should logically have lost the game, most logical chess players will quit, right? And the reason why is they're like, well, we already know the end of this game, right? And the reality is the reason why I don't do that is, one, I realize almost always when you are down considerably and you should be resigning, this can put a lot of opponents on tilt. It can make them very angry, and then they play poorly. And then often I can get right back to even with them. And if I'm even with somebody, I got every chance of winning that game, right? And that can happen just from putting an opponent on tilt. And I think exactly you can do exactly that. So Andrew Yang should absolutely never resign in the primary or in the general. You have to be beaten. Andrew Yang has to be beaten. He should never, ever, ever give up and say, I give my votes to this person or I endorse this person. That is a weak, terrible move. Let me tell you some other reasons why you should never resign, why I never resign in chess, and why Andrew Yang should absolutely never resign in the primary race or in the general election. Okay? Here's why. Okay, so one, you can put an opponent on tilt, right? Two, this is fascinating. I think this is absolutely happening in today's situation, right? In today's specific political environment. So a lot of times I play in Lichess, and I would even say most Lichess players are better than I am. But that doesn't matter. I win a lot of games against players that are much better than me because they play multiple games at once. So when I play Lichess will allow you to play as many opponents simultaneously as you wish. And I constantly beat opponents that are that are ranked 100 to 150 points higher than myself. And I will beat them because they're playing two opponents as once. And you can see this in Lichess, right? And so when I see somebody playing another opponent, I will shift my play so that I make moves very quickly, and then they're pressed for time, and then they can run out of their own time because they can't focus on the game because they're trying to play two games at once. Now, how is that applicable to the political environment? Well, I think there are several candidates who are playing two games at once. Andrew Yang is a super smart opponent, right? He is playing one game. He is playing to win the primary, right? That's the only game he's playing right now. There are definitely, absolutely players, political opponents who are within the 20-plus primary Democrat candidates right now who are playing two games. They're playing to win the primary, but they're also playing to get their message out, to change the conversation in America, to advance climate change, goodwill from the people, and a million other secondary, not even secondary goals, but games that they're playing at the same time they're trying to win the election. And that's just it. Winning the U.S. presidential election is so difficult. There is absolutely no bandwidth for anything but focus on winning, right? And I think there are some very arrogant candidates who think that they can run in the U.S. presidential primary and also get their message out for the cause of climate change the conversation in American politics, improve bipartisanship, right? Now, all those things are noble goals, and they should do that as soon as they're in their governing period, as soon as they've won. But you can't take any bandwidth during the election to do any of that nonsense, because that's what it is during the election. During the election race, it's nonsense. You should focus on one thing. So that's another thing is, if your opponent is playing two games in Lichess, you could be down a principal piece or two. You could be down a rook and a queen. You can still come back because their focus is split, right? So that's another reason why you should never, ever resign, is your opponent may be playing two games, right? And their focus is split, and you have an opportunity to defeat them, right? And then here's the last one. I absolutely love this in Lichess, and this is absolutely true in real life. I have played on mobile games. I've gotten to the point where I will only play human opponents. Right? I no longer play against a computer because I don't care about beating a computer. I always want to be playing a human opponent, and here's why. I was at rank 950 once, and I was playing a ranked player at 1100. Right? And this person was much better player than me, and was absolutely devastating me in the game. And so I only had a minute and 20 seconds left, and I was down by about 9 points, right? I think he had taken 2 pieces and a few of my pawns. So I'm down 9 points, right? And I'm just, the guy's cruising on, and the guy I have 1 minute and 20 seconds left, and this person has 2 minutes and 50 seconds left, all the time in the world to beat me, right? And so I make my move at 1 minute and 20 seconds, and I'm waiting for this guy to come back, take another one of my pieces, and I'm going to lose the game soon. But what ended up happening is the player did not take a single additional move. Now, I think what happened is that player was some super smart, person in Paris, right? And their bus came. That's it. Like, their bus came and they didn't have time to finish the game, right? And that happens all the time. I will be playing Lee chess. And if my wife comes in the room and says, hey, Scott, I want to talk about XYZ, I take that phone and I just turn it over and I lose whatever game I'm currently playing, right? And I think that a lot of people have this where something will happen in real life and boom, they're out of the game. And that can absolutely happen in politics. There can be you can lose the game because you have a health issue. You might have a mental health issue. There may be something that happens in real life that stops you from completing the race, right? And so Andrew Yang should never, ever, ever resign. He has to be defeated in both the Democrat primary race and in the general election. He should never concede to anyone, and he should never, ever, ever endorse another candidate, ever, right? And I just really feel very, very strongly this is something I've learned from playing Lee chess, which is chess online, against human international opponents and domestic opponents. And it's really an incredibly important message. And so I'm going to leave this right here for Andrew Yang's team. Do not ever, ever resign. Andrew Yang, please do not ever, ever, ever resign in the primary. Do not resign in the election. Make sure you are defeated. Make it so that you have to be defeated. Fight to your last pawn, right? It's critical. It's really, really critical. So go Yang. I'm really, really excited about Andrew Yang's candidacy, and I hope he never concedes to anyone. But that's my opinion. I'd love to hear your opinion. Please put it in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.